So I hope everybody's well. What I wanted to talk about today was not knowing what's happening, not knowing what's going to happen next, or just generally not knowing. The reasoning for this is just recently what I found is over the last couple of days, and one of the things I love to do is kind of share my personal experiences, is that I've completely, in a sense, just got lost. And what I mean by that is that all of a sudden, like, I just don't know what's going to happen next. And yet what I found is in that place of not knowing what's going to happen next, there seems to be a real sense of home and a real sense of security. And what I found is the more this unknowing unveils itself, the more I realize I'm secure and I'm at home and I'm exactly where I need to be. And, you know, I remember the first couple of days, there was like a slight kind of, oh, well, this is kind of interesting because my mind doesn't seem to have any place here. And I don't seem to kind of like have any control here. And as it's just deepened, what I found is it's just such a beautiful place to be. And I wanted to kind of, in a sense, share some of the insights there really, and hopefully try and do some, you know, justice by talking about it and really offer some pointers that we can, so that we can, in a sense, you know, let go of this idea of control, let go of this idea of mind, of trying to plot and plan, and really just open ourselves up to this whole flow of life. And consequently recognize that this place of not knowing is who we truly are, and it's our home, and as such it's safe for ourselves to be here. If anything, it's really the epitome of true safety. As I said, you know, there was this initial kind of, I don't know what's going to happen next, and I'm not in control. And what's happened is I found myself more productive, I found myself moving around, I found myself literally constantly receiving insight after insight after insight after insight, and yet also sorting so many things out that I didn't think that I would be able to kind of deal with. And the reason for that is because this whole idea of personal ownership or personal doership is dead, or is dying, and is deepening in its dying. And it's really just letting me, as in this character, this body mind, just literally be taken out the way. And what's left is just as I am, as I truly am. And as I said, in that place there's insights, but I also realize that in this place of not knowing, we are really home and we are really secure. And we are living from a place of authenticity, from who we really actually are. Now, I know that upon hearing this, you know, people will want to try to understand this also. So, well, how do I get to that place? And that really is just your mind trying to control or adapt something, and also really to try and ensure its survival. In this just place of not knowing, there is really no mind. The mind is silent, if at all there is any kind of a mind that registers here. And what you find is you're living so much more openly, so much more expansively, because you realize that you are not this limited story, this limited body mind, which almost becomes almost inconsequential to speak about. And that really your inherent nature, and again this feels inconsequential to speak about, is really just this openness, this consciousness. And there is no here or there or moving from or going to in that place. There is just this place in which everything is emanating, but it's just literally a moment that can't even really be spoken of. It can really only be experienced, and it's not even eternally simple, because again, words complicate this. But what you find is there's this real sense of security when you realize that you really are at ground zero, that there is really nowhere to go. There isn't anything to attain or understand. And in that sense, there's no seeking or any idea of seeking. And then whatever is happening is literally just happening. Without anybody trying to do this or trying to understand this. And again, this is just like a complication, because anything pointing towards this or any words towards this are just a complication of something that is just so simple that it almost defies explanation. And you find that there is this real sense of empowerment. And again, who is this empowerment happening to? in this place because you are at the center and everything has collapsed. And in that sense, whatever comes up just collapses with an immediacy whereby it's almost beyond, well, it is beyond time. And we find ourselves just eternally now, just here, without a need to try to understand it. But at the same time, a reassurance, a real love and a real sense of ease and a real sense of stopping occurs here as well. And what I found is just literally, I'm just, I have no idea what's going to happen next. I don't even know if this is making sense. I don't know if these words are going to help or not. But there isn't this personal doership there that's trying to understand this or trying to like go a certain way or control it, and have it happen a certain way. It's in a sense that that sense of control is gone. And even if it appears, it's just an appearance, it's not real. So this idea of an individual or someone trying to do something is just seen for what it actually is, that it is just an appearance. It's not real, it's fleeting. And yet what we do is we take this fleeting thing and we believe that it's real, and we imbue it with some sort of quality, and we believe that it's an idea that needs defending, and then we create fanciful ideas and thoughts and feelings and emotions to sustain this character that we create. And if we could see that we have created this, that we are prior to the creation of this character, then we are just home. We are home, and we have only ever been home. And what we then see is that this character is probably needed for this illusory existence, and it functions as and how it needs to function. And if anything, it functions so much more efficiently because this idea of a two isn't there. There isn't somebody trying to defend an idea. There isn't as we are and then this character that we need to sustain as well. In other words, the duality disappears because we see that there is no other, and there isn't one or the other. It's just this one singularity. It's just this one thing that's expressing itself in as many ways as it can. And as such, whatever is coming up on a moment by moment basis is completely okay. All manner of experiences are happening in it, and it's home. It's the safety that we also crave, the safety that we try to attain by accumulating possessions or getting jobs or entering into relationships in order to give us that sense of permanency. This is permanency at its very core. And as such, it's home. What I found is as we start recognizing this, as we start deepening, as we start trusting, we find that everything is happening from here. And all manner of wisdom, knowledge, understanding is here. I've a friend who talks about the mind, the universal mind. Well, there is really only this universality in which everything is occurring. And you realize that even saying something like, everything is occurring here, doesn't really do it justice. And this is who we truly are, but not in some esoteric, otherworldly way. It's a very practical way of being that's occurring right now to every single one of us, whether we are consciously aware of it, or we have some sort of understanding, or we're experiencing it, whether we are experiencing and aware of the experience or not, it is still happening. And it literally takes that complication of seeking and drops it when it wants to drop it, when it wishes to be known. And as such, we're not in control. We're not in control of our knowing or our not knowing, of our seeking or our not seeking. We are literally just these puppets, and the puppet master is this thing called life. And there's a sense of ease there when we recognize ourselves as that puppet master, that which is prior to everything that's playing this whole play out, because then we can really stop and we can just observe, and we can see that we're observing an illusion, or we can see it as it is something that is us. And again, like I said, the need for an explanation then just collapses. So it's really a pointer, it's not truth, because there is no words that can encapsulate this. And as such, it just collapses into silence, with no one witnessing that silence, with no one even to know that silence. And in that simplicity, which is again such a complication to even try and put a tag or a name on it, we are home. And we as a singularity, not as the other or the multiplicity, of all these different characters just being at home. There is just this one. And that one is who we actually truly are. And are whether we are seeking for it or not. And as such, as we see that and we start developing that trust in there, when we start really realizing that this is it, what we find is all manner of these ideas and stories and everything just collapse. And in that collapse, in that collapsing of that which is unreal, we see more and more of what is real. And it just deepens. Like I said, like I seem to be recording videos, and there seems to be, 1 week I'm talking about simplification and stripping away the unnecessary, the other week, and then today it's just this whole idea of like there just being a real beauty in being lost. Because in that being lost, the paradox of it is that we are found and we are home. And that home is who we truly are, is the security we so deeply crave, is that thing we desire, to be home, to finally be able to just stop and to rest as we actually are. And then whatever comes from that, whatever emanates from that, whether it's silence, whether it's words, is it, because we see the eternal wisdom of this moment. And we see that we're home, and that we've always been home, and that's when it all collapses and we see ourselves for who we truly are.